For today, Unit 3, Lesson 9, Determining Percentages. Number 1 says to complete parts A through C, compare each value to 40 by using percentages. Use a double number line to show your thinking. We're not going to show a double number line, as we talked about that yesterday. I want to look at A, B, and C and show you how to use the steps to solve each one of those percentages. So letter A says 20 is what percent of 40? So when we set up our problem, we're always going to use is over of equals the percent over 100. This is always what we use. Is over of equals a percent over 100. So when I look at letter A says 20 is what percent of 40? So is my 20. See how those two go together? So my is, that top number here, is going to be 20. Of 40. So my of is on the bottom. There's my of right here. That's going to equal what percent? Well, we don't know that, so I'm going to put an X here. X is a variable, means that it can represent any number. And right now we don't know what that number is, but we want to find it. And percent is always over 100. So my denominator is going to be 100. So to solve, I'm going to use cross multiply and divide. It's the same strategy we talked about with unit rates. So I can't multiply this way because my 40 and X, there's no number there. So I have to multiply like this. So I'm going to take 100 times 20, and when I multiply that, I get 2,000. And I'm going to divide that by the only number that's left, which is 40. And when I divide 2,000 divided by 40, I get 50. So 20 is what percent of 40? That is 50%. Because that's what's going to be my percent right there. Okay, so I'll erase this again, and we'll look at letter B. Everything is set up the same way. So if I look at letter B, it says 4 is what percent of 40? So I have my is over of equals my percent over 100. So now I just simply start putting in numbers. 4 is. So is my 4. What percent? Well, I don't know what percent that is, so that's my X. And it's always over 100 of 40. So of tells me my total. Okay? My is my part. My of is the total. So here's my problem. I've got 4 over 40, X over 100. I go back, I use my cross multiply and divide method. So I take 100 times 4, which is 400, and I divide that by the only number I have left, which is 40. And when I divide, I get 10. So it's 10% of 40. Look at letter C. 80 is what percent of 40? So again, I start off with my is over of equals my percent over 100. Is 80 is. So 80 is my is of 40. 40 is my of. It's my denominator. I'm looking for what percent. So here's where my X is at my percent because I don't know what percent, but 100 is always the same. So then I cross multiply. I take 100 times 80, which is 8,000. And I divide that by the only number I have left, which is 40. And when I divide, I get 8,000 divided by 40, which would be 200. So 80 is 200% of 40 because it's double that part. If we look at number 2, it's the same thing. Number 2, I'll only do one of this. 3 is what percent of 30? So again, I have my is over of equals the percent over 100. My is, 3 is. So my is up here is 3. What percent of 30? 30 is my of. It's that bottom number. What percent is what I'm looking for. So that's my variable. I don't know what that percent is, but I always know it's over 100. So then we cross multiply. I have 3 times 100, which is 300. We divide that by the only number we have left. It's always going to be one of those numbers. And when you divide, you get 10. And that's a percent, so it's 10%. So let's take a look at number 3. Number 3 says find the missing fraction for the parts A and B. So it's the same thing. 12 is what fraction of 18? So we simply are going to do the same thing. Okay? Is over of equals some number over 100. So my is 12. 12 is of 18 equals some number over 100. So again, if I cross multiply 100 times 12, that's going to be 1,200. And we're going to divide that by the only number we have left, which is 18. And when we divide 1,200 divided by 18, we get 66.666666 repeating. So as a fraction, that would be 66.6 with a line over it over 100. Or you can look at letter B, so you can still use your cross multiply, or we can use our pineapple upside down cake method to help us out as well. So in our pineapple upside down cake, I have 18 and 12. So I want to think, what number can I multiply to get 18 and 12? Remember, I always use the numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. So I always try 2 first. Does 2 go into 18 evenly? Yes. Does 2 go into 12 evenly? Yes. So we put a 2 on the outside. 2 times 9 is 18. 2 times 6 is 12. Since I have two numbers here, I have a new layer of cake. So I look at 9 and 6. I start back at 2. Does 2 go into 9 evenly? No. So I know that one's done. I look at 3. Does 3 go into 9 evenly? Yes. 3 times 3. Does 3 go into 6 evenly? Yes. 2 times 3. So 3 is on the outside. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. And here's my new layer. So I look at 2. Does 2 go into 3 evenly? No. So then if I look at 3, I know 3 does not go into 2 evenly. So here is my fraction. What is the fraction for 18 over 12? That's going to be 3 to 2. And my answer is always down here. 3 is my numerator. 2 is my denominator. Use this information, write it down in your book, and go to page 333, read through your summary, and then you may do 334, 1, 2, and 3.